Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Mike Parsram of the band Cold Shoulder. Mike and Cold Shoulder have been a driving force in the Toronto hardcore scene for a number of years now, and they've just recently announced their LP release for Primal Fury that was accompanied by a single and video for the song Bitter. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated Crew? I'm here with Mike from Cold Shoulder. Mike, how are you doing this morning?
Excellent, sir. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I know that you're not a coffee drinker. We prefaced that before, but What do you have going on beverage-wise on your side?
Got me a fat stack of water right here.
That's
big
health.
Fan of, I don't know. I just never been a fan of coffee. I've tried to sip it a few times and it just never worked out. So I just never had a cup. Coconut water, Gatorade Zero. Big fan of throat coat tea because I'm a terrible vocalist. Just mostly water. Like six. I guess there's no video. So like 6 bottles of these, like these bottles I have.
It's like a 20 ouncer. Is that? It looks like a 20 to 32 ounce.
I wish I knew.
It's pretty girthy. I'll give it. I'll say that. No judgment here about the coffee. I know that coffee is not for everybody, and you seem to be more of like a health workout kind of person. So much respect to you there.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I do have to say what I'm drinking because I would be a terrible host. I'm drinking a coffee from The Standard. It is a coffee shop from the Mile End in Montreal, and I just stumbled across a bag of their coffee called Moment. It's a Guatemalan single origin, and it's really delicious. I'm not going to bore you with notes because...
go ahead, man. Your listeners will love it.
Yeah. They'll like the notes. It is a pretty traditional coffee, washed. It's nutty, chocolatey, everything you like in a Guatemalan single origin. It's not anything too complex. There's a bit of like a citrus kind of stone fruit. So like peach, pear kind of note, maybe plum actually. So that's as deep as I'll go today.
I like it, man. I like passion. I like the passion of it. I like, your shit. That's like interesting to me at the very least.
I almost envy you because people who haven't stumbled into the coffee hole, it feels like they don't spend so much time judging coffees and things. So I do envy your non-interest. Yeah, I wish I could forget some things.
Like I just learned recently that there's like acidity to coffee and it can often and then there's that marmot that eats it and the enzymes in its stomach, or eats the beans. The enzymes in its stomach deacidify it, and then you get like a smoother coffee by eating the shitted out beans that you then grind. Have you ever tried that?
It's Kopi Luwak, I believe, is what.
Yes, that's the name.
So that idea of not having acidity in the coffee is 100% against like what I like in coffee. Like I love acidic, really bright, fruity coffees.
Oh,
so
true.
There's more of for me, the taste, but I think it's something that you should try if you want to spend, $50 on a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I know.
To drink some shit, literally shit coffee. But I think the idea is interesting. I don't know who's going through like monkey's poop and picking out this coffee beans. I
think it's like Indonesia or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to meet that person. But that... I mean, to each their own, I guess. I'll try it if I'm in Bali. If I'm in Bali and they're like, we have Kopi Luwak, I'm gonna do it. Well, we can get straight into
poop coffee.
Eat the poop coffee. We can get straight into the music. What was your intro to hardcore, like your first show experience?
My intro to hardcore, I was in my first band, Heartless. It still exists, but just a slow working band. This was like it's over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. We were playing shows and there were hardcore bands playing at the time, like locals. Couldn't tell you the names, honestly. And it was just different because we played melodic metalcore. And these bands, like the riffs were more basic and it was like, it felt predictable, but like in a good way. And then I learned about like two-stepping and all that and stuff. So it's just from like playing shows and being introduced to my own scene and then meeting people at shows and stuff like that and learning the bands that they were interested in and stuff like that.
I know we had talked about, you come from a more similar background as me where you were into like metalcore, like the scene, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What were some of those, that first kind of band that got you hooked?
The first metalcore band or first hardcore band?
I would say metalcore because I can remember my first, metalcore experience.
I think it has to be, I was probably As I Lay Dying. Frail Words Collapse is like, it's still a crazy album and I still did it. Like I don't play guitar anymore, but back then I was playing guitar and I learned the first two records cover to cover on guitar. Couldn't make a song if my life depended on it, like my own original music, but I was learning As I Lay Dying and more of that like Swedish style metalcore of like In Flames and things like that. So yeah, definitely them.
Yeah, I can remember those first As I Lay Dying albums were like huge, especially in the scene that I was involved in. So
God tier.
Yes. Yeah. Still to this day, like all that stuff holds up. It's crazy to think like music writing at that time and then comparing it to some of the bands that are kind of big now. It's like, I don't know what to think about all this. In terms of finding your vocal sound, what was the process for you there?
So I was playing guitar mostly. I really wanted to be a guitarist. I think this is back in high school. And the record I Am Hollywood by He Is Legend came out. And I used to drive around, pick up my friends, and we would go to the beach or to a park and like just fuck around. And I would, at the top of my lungs, sing and scream that entire record while we were driving. And it got around my high school that I was good at that. And so that's how people approached me to like join bands and stuff like that. That's how I joined my first band. And then, so like finding my own sound was like definitely He Is Legend, As I Lay Dying, Tim, as much as he did that weirdo shit where he tried to kill his wife, but I got to give him credit because that's where I learned. I don't think I'd have vocals the way I do now if it weren't for He Is Legend and As I Lay Dying. And when it turned out, I was way better at doing that and writing lyrics. I mean, I'm not the best at writing lyrics, but it was more fun to me than trying to write a piece of music with guitar. I just put the guitar down and focused on that. That was my start. I really got to credit those two bands.
Yeah, that's awesome. The He Is Legend was definitely, for not directly me, but a lot of the bands I was in, that was a huge influence to a lot of like the members. And, of course, being from Georgia,
yes, sir.
He Is Legend is huge.
Yes,
sir. So yeah, much respect there. I can definitely hear that aggression that you have in your vocal tone. Like cool. It's 100% indicative of those two.
Yeah.
The Toronto scene within Canada, what makes the Toronto scene so unique?
I think it's the diversity. Because you still have like the Not Dead Yet bands, you have the metallic hardcore bands, you have the punk, you have the thrashy bands. I mean, I guess you could say that about every scene, but there's just something like, there's just like these pockets that don't mix very much. These pockets of bands and people that go to the shows that are very click-like, but it's still very cool. because they're still accepting of like new people going to the shows and things like that. And like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I have like a love-hate relationship because when I was coming up in metalcore bands and even in Cold Shoulder for what we do, is like, well, what are we doing different from these other bands? Like, because you have these great bands like Mil-Spec and No Warning and things like that.
Yeah.
And what they do is vastly different from what we do or from what they do. And, but like we still run in the same circles, play the same fests and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think I'm just rambling.
Well, I know that you're in two other bands in the Toronto scene. So I feel like you kind of firsthand have experience playing, especially in other kind of mixed genre scenarios. But like, what are some things that kind of differentiate Street Justice from Cold Shoulder and things like that? I guess some trends, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think Street Justice is more just like less. Yeah, it's like more punk and thrash influenced, and like, and then you have Cold Shoulder, which is just like I don't know. TUI Comeback Kid worship. Yeah, like I guess in certain aspects.
It's great.
Yeah.
It scratches an itch.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because those were bands I was like not too into until I joined this band. So I feel like very weird talking about it as though I have this like wealth of knowledge. Like it's hard. It's hard to even like to go back to your question of what makes hardcore in Toronto unique and things like that is like, I don't know. I think the fact that I don't know is what does, like, cause like I'm just sitting in it and there's so much happening around me and there's so many different things. And like, it's just really cool. I think I'm A, stupid, and B, like, just, I don't know, enjoying myself too much.
No. And it's more, I don't think that you're stupid. I think it's more for me being in Montreal where the scene is completely different than Toronto. Okay. Like if you want technical death metal, if like metal of any kind, Montreal is definitely a huge connected scene.
You guys have Beneath the Massacre.
We have we have Cryptopsy.
One of my favorite bands.
Beyond Creation, like crazy bands. And then when it comes to like hardcore, I feel like it's a bit more underground in a sense where it's hard to find, shows and bands. And it feels like there's like a constant ebb and flow of there's bands. Oh, they're gone. There's bands. So exactly. That's kind of, like, I've always heard that Toronto has a much more like rich scene in terms of, hardcore and hardcore punk and metalcore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got better knowledge than
no, it's not even, I didn't know if there was like a secret sauce. Like if there's like a venue or something that just kind of attracts all of these bands.
I guess, yeah, there was like Youth and Void. There was Soy Bomb. There was a place on the Esplanade a long time ago that shut down. Most of these places shut down or there are different things now. But yeah, the rise of like short-term venues and these like underground venues that were record shops and stuff like that definitely has helped.
And that's
keep it alive.
Where I'm from, that's 100% what, even in the small town that I come from, there was always some weird new all ages venue popping up in a record store or like some taco restaurant that happened to have a stage. It's like, why are we playing shows here? But, kids come out, kids mosh, like it's a great time. I feel like that's really what's kept. And I don't know if it's me like leaving or, it just feels like that's slowed down a lot. Things are becoming maybe a bit more corporate or online or, I don't know, but I still live in the nostalgia of going to an all ages show in like a basement of a pizza place. Like,
dude, I think that's a lot harder in Canada. I don't know. I mean, I having toured in the States and stuff, I feel like what you described there, like the taco place, like a great example is Killer's Tacos in Texas is incredible. And you have these like weird pizza places and record shops and these like somebody's basement, which is called a bar and grill, just so that they can get by having their marketing and posters all over town without getting shut down.
Right.
You find that more in the States, and I find that not so much in Toronto. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's
depressing.
I don't know. It's like a weird, I'm so used to DIY. Like you want to have a show, you make it happen. And I didn't know if that was just a Montreal thing that I was missing.
Yeah.
The concept of Cold Shoulder, what was kind of your start with them, and what are some of the concepts that you guys, write about and things like that?
When I first joined, it was literally the week after I got my undergrad and graduated. I got a call from our now guitarist, Jeff, and he asked if I wanted to join the band. And then when I spoke to the drummer, Adam, he's like, look, we're going to fly out to LA to record this with Nick Jett of Terror. And the lyrics are written, the music's written. We just keep having flaky vocalists. So you're going to be, and this, I remember this to this day, you're going to be our Justin Bieber. Everything's written and done for you. You just got to be there and sing. Cause I'd still, despite like taking the time to go to school and like not play shows anymore, it was still a thing that like I was a vocalist. So like they're all from bands that I've played with, like all the members of Cold Shoulder now. We used to play shows together in different bands. So they knew I was still around. And so literally the week after they booked a flight for me and we went out there. And so like that first stuff is like nothing I have a real connection with. And I wouldn't even call it us anymore. It was like more melodic. Mm-hmm. It was very different. Not my style of lyrics or writing or patterns or anything. So when we finally got to move on to the next cycle of things with like Backlash and Enemy, those two, like the EP and the demo, most of the concepts, I have this, like when I go to writing for this band in particular, it's usually about things I'm pissed off about. I have this philosophy, like if you're not pissed off, you're not paying attention to what's happening in the world. And so yeah, it's like from the smallest things to like people just being overly aggressive on Twitter or on social media and just being like gatekeepers or things like that, to bigger things like politics, racism. I'm not doing anything like crazy new or different in my lyrics. It's just I go from the shitty little people on social media to like cops and racism. So that's where Cold Shoulder is now, and that's what I continue to write about, because there's no end to that kind of bullshit that happens. You can write about it.
Definitely. It feels like there's just much more of that even now for some reason. Like the gatekeeping, like you said, is one of my constant battles.
Dude, Twitter is a plague hole. It's so ass. I don't know. I don't contribute to it anymore. I barely post. I'll like scroll a little bit every now and then. But I think the only reason I keep social media to begin with is maybe I don't know how to let go, or I tell myself that I use it for the band and staying connected with people that I've met while on tour in the States and stuff like that. I mean, if I didn't have social media, I wouldn't be doing this right now with you. So there is a good side, but there's a lot to be pissed off about. Definitely. As well.
So some of the, I guess, concepts of the new LP, Primal Fury. By the way, the single, Bitter, the video, everything fucking slays. Like it's
dude, thank you so much.
It's heavy as fuck. It's angry in your face. I love the video. You're like, I don't know, killing your band members. Like,
yeah.
and maybe a little bit afraid to talk to you. It's like, maybe it's going to be outside my door when I'm done with this. No. And you guys are releasing that on New Age Records, which is a new sign, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we recorded this record last year in November while we were still with Safe Inside, and Safe Inside Records, which is like an affiliate of Death Wish. Mm-hmm. And we were really stoked to be with them and like put this out with them. But the timing, I guess, just didn't work out. So we ended up sitting on it for a full year. And then, God, we like nearly broke up just sitting on it. Just like, it's so frustrating to sit on music you're proud of and not be able to do anything with it or show anybody. And so we had to make the decision to like jump ship and see who would take us or independently release. And then, dude, we messaged New Age, and he, his name is Mike. He had already, like, he listened to it, and in all caps, he was emailing us back immediately telling us, I'm going to get vinyl for you guys. I'm going to do merch. Like, he was so excited and so willing to help us. And that was so good. It, like, I don't know. I feel like we don't even deserve what this guy is doing for us now. Like, it's been so great.
Yeah, the new merch looks really cool. I was checking it out on the New Age site, and I love the artwork for it reminds me of that old N64 video game Rampage. Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's pretty much what we've gone for. Like the newer, like the demo and the EP before Backlash and Enemy. I just really wanted Pissed Off Animals destroying shit, because that's my shit. I don't know. It's just cool to me, and it's like almost corny and fun. But yeah, just like yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It's super. It just reminds me of like the Suburban Scum, like Mongoloids like era artwork, where it's just like cartoony, but it's like pissed off. I love that.
I'm a big fan.
Yes.
Big fan of that. Usually the kind of art that I see most of the time that catches my eye is like that same sort of thing, but it's like a dude in a hoodie or like someone spray painting stuff. And I really like animals a lot. And so I just wanted the same thing, but with animals doing it. So I thought that was cool.
So you must love a Tsunami.
I do. I do. I like
Tsunami and Slug is another one they have like a slug in a hoodie with like a baseball bat. Yeah, they're like they're a smaller band from Ohio.
Yeah, no. I know of them. I have some friends. Like, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But I definitely know of them. I know of them, and I haven't checked them out yet. I will have to.
What is the lyrical process that you take now that you are writing? You know, if not all, most of the lyrics for Cold Shoulder?
I definitely do write all. I get some help when it comes to like structuring and things like that. But that's besides the point. My process is mostly like I'll be listening to another band, and maybe a line will come to me that like, hey, this is what I like to do is take other people's music that I really, really like, and sometimes I'll get ideas. If this were my band, what would I write? Mm-hmm. And that's been like a really cool exercise in, I don't know, helping my creativity. And like, because I'm not in any of these bands. I'm not in a band that sounds anything like any of the bands that I listen to. And so it's just like really cool learning how to, like I was saying before, like I really like Dance Gavin Dance, and like taking music like that and lyrics like that and patterns like that and trying to fit it somewhere else is just like a really cool exercise. And so, yeah, doing things like that, or even mostly when I'm driving, whenever I'm left alone with just me and my brain to think, I just like, I start thinking of just like cool lyrics sort of thing. I don't know. It just comes to me, and then I write it down, and then it becomes more like I'll just expand upon that. And then eventually I'll get a demo from our guitarist, Jeff. And this goes for any band I'm in. I'm in 4 bands, and it's literally this process where I'll hear the instrumental and I'll be like, I'll remember the lyrics, or I'll look at the lyrics I've written. Okay, that doesn't fit. I don't really like this for that. And then eventually something will just fall into place like a puzzle piece. And I just expand from there, move things around, and like make sure the patterns are right with the guitars and drums. And yeah, it's nothing special. It's just like the only way I know how to do it is just write something first, having not listened to any music, and then keep that in my back pocket until somebody sends me a demo, and then see if it fits.
That's super interesting, because I know a lot of people kind of go reverse, where they hear the music and then kind of try to fit, I guess, a concept into it. But your way actually reminds me of Rivers from Weezer. He has a spreadsheet of like lines he'll hear from like a conversation at a party or something. And then if he hears like a riff, he'll find like just phrases that match with each other, patterns that match.
You know what's funny is Weezer is my least favorite band of all time. They have that one song with the baby animals. I think it's like Island in the Sun or something, California Sun, some trash shit. I love that song, but then I hate everything else. And the fact that I write the same way as him is pretty ironic.
Yeah. I read an interview a long time ago, because his songwriting process, which is what makes Weezer so like weird. I'm a big Weezer fan.
Dude, it's cool. I know everybody like but me loves them. I've seen them live and everything, and like I just don't get it. It's them and the Red Hot Chili Peppers I can't stand. I don't know why.
I don't like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Right?
That just made you physically angry.
I'm afraid to publicly admit that, but I honestly
say it with your chest, bro. Like
I don't get it. No, Weezer, just because I do like their songs, literally, like people will try to dissect their music, and they've said, if you can figure out what our songs are about, then let me know, because I have no idea what they're about.
All right. I can tell they don't know what they're about. That's why I hate them.
There's no purpose here.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what makes it so fun for me, is like, this is literal nonsense, but
I'm definitely being hypocritical, because if I cite Dance Gavin Dance as a huge influence, but if you look at their screaming vocalist, his vocals or his lyrics don't make a shit of sense. So I'm a big hypocrite. It's just dependent on how I'm feeling, I guess, and how I like the music. For Weezer, it doesn't work for me. For them, it does. So I don't know.
You just pick and choose your ideals.
Exactly. I'm gonna cherry pick. I don't care.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that. That's your process for lyrics, because I don't know if you probably just write it down by hand, or if you have a spreadsheet, if you're OCD like some people.
I usually put it in the notes of my phone.
Okay.
I don't like to write things down, because then you lose that, whereas my phone is attached to me at all times.
Yeah. In my case, you wouldn't be able to read it later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just have one last question before we go, but it has been such a pleasure hanging out and talking with you.
Oh, absolutely. I've had a blast. This is awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I'll preface this. This question is usually for beans and breakdowns.
Okay.
What is your favorite city for beans and breakdowns? This week, because I know it's not so much coffee, what is your favorite city for breakdowns?
That's a good ass question. I think the city that I've most fallen in love with, I think it's got to be a tie for Toronto, because of the Toys for Tots thing that we've done and the love we receive from that. And if you've ever followed me on any of my social media, I do not shut up about Oklahoma. There's something in the water down there, dude, where their bands are so good and so good live. There's this band, Omen. There's Sledge from down there. Some of the members are from Texas. Strangled doesn't exist anymore. They are now become Peeling Flesh, but Strangled is just insane, or was. They're just like bred differently down there. And even the way they mosh, dude, like they act like they have free healthcare, dude. It's insane. Just everything is better down there for some reason. So I have to say we haven't played enough places for me to make a definitive decision, because I'm sure there are places that are better, or maybe there aren't, but definitely Toronto and Oklahoma, like Tulsa, Oklahoma and Toronto, Ontario are definitely my favorite places that I've played. And I got to admit, like Toronto's like a newer thing now, because I felt like there was a lot of gatekeeping in the scene and a lot of clique mentality here. But I think a lot of that might have been in my own head, or just meeting the wrong people, because there's always going to be good people in every scene. For sure. So you can get through that. Sorry, I'm rambling again.
No, it's good. Yeah, that's awesome. I know that that Texas, Oklahoma area is known for just straight violence.
Right.
So I can definitely see that being a pretty intense environment.
It changed my perspective on, I can say it definitely changed my perspective on making music and writing aggressive music, for sure. That's
awesome. Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I've met somebody from the Toronto scene finally. So, so I could get a little bit of knowledge on it. But
absolutely,
enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll be looking out for that LP drop.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to give a huge shout out to Mike for coming on the podcast and hanging out, sharing all the details about Cold Shoulder, the Toronto scene, everything that's going on with that new release, and they're signing to New Age. It was such a pleasure to get to spend some time with Mike. Be sure to go ahead and pre-order that new LP and some other merch. You can find it on the New Age website. You can also find Cold Shoulder on Instagram, and look out for some of those shows if you're in the Eastern Canada area. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can also find out more info by following us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns and on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.